What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the live here at Murder Metal Mayhem. Doesn't look very murder metal and mayhem lately with the yellow in the dining room, but I'm hoping that that's going to change here soon, very soon, because I'm anxious to get back out to the studio. There's just been a lot of things, a lot of reasons why I haven't been out there. One of the biggest one is safety. Um, my wife doesn't want me to go out there when nobody's home, for good reason. Too many things could happen. And so then my schedule then flips to a nighttime schedule of recording and stuff, which I got really, it was nice. I didn't have to deal with that. So I have to kind of change up my schedule. And then, the creative juices aren't flowing at different times of the day. I like the early mornings, get right at it, and that's been my preferred way of doing it. But so those things have to change in order for me to do that. But good to see you guys here. I was not sure I was going to even do one of these. I was feeling fine going into the weekend, but I wasn't feeling that great yesterday. I ran out of a medication of mine that I thought I had, and I didn't. So it's partially on me, partially with the way my prescriptions are run online now, the way they've made some changes and give me a false sense of security that it was being monitored, and it didn't appear that it was. So I just not wasn't feeling the best yesterday. Today I feel better. So whatever that was, hopefully over that, but just kind of tired. But yeah, no big deal. Just it has happened more than once with this medication. It's kind of frustrating. But let's see who we got here. We got Alicia, misleading evidence. Donna Lembo, captain of the Mayhem Squad. Karis, voice of astrology. And my mom. Good to see you, Mom. Good to see you. Dorothy. Foxy Rose. Okay. All right. So we got a little small crowd. We've been having really small. Oh, Isle of Shoals, awesome, awesome to see you here. We've had some smaller crowds doing these, but the thing is that they're just going to miss out this time because you guys are going to have something that no one ever in Murder Metal Mayhem history will ever have to say they attended the very first live that I'm doing with my prosthetic on. So you can't really see much of it, but it's on. So I thought, why not do it and show you guys that I got my prosthetic on. I've been wearing it as often as possible, but you still have to put limits on it so you don't overdo it. So very cool. And James Moan says he mods for AR. That's cool. Any friend of AR's is a friend of mine, so that's awesome. And thanks, Mom. Yeah, my the guy that I'm working with at the VA says half hour, 10 minutes of that standing. I'm still working to get to the 10 minutes. It's interesting. It's like walking on stilts. I think I may have told you this before, so I apologize if I'm repeating. But my prosthetic words bloom because an author can't have any character involved in their life that's not named. So my prosthetic is Vinny for my cousin Vinny. So it's Vinny, and I got the Godfather shirt on, the Luca Brasi shirt. So I'm feeling it today. But yeah, The prosthetic is called Vinny, and it's kind of a funny story. But the surgeon that I'm working with is an Indian doctor, and his name is spelled similar to Vinny, but it's different. And so I was calling him my cousin Vinny, and he said that's what they called him in when he was a resident in a different state. So that was funny, but he's got a real good sense of humor about it. So yeah, so that's the prosthetics name is Vinny. So yeah, good to see you there, Dotson Nader. Very cool. So yeah, so they're all missing it. There might be a couple hundred people on a different live, and they're not going to be able to say that they were there when Pete wore his prosthetic for the first time doing a live. So not that I need to have two legs to do a live, but it's kind of cool if it's different. I'm able to balance my weight on it pretty well, that I don't feel like I'm going to fall over if I have to, like free a hand up to like go to the next video if I'm watching YouTube or something. I can take my hands off the walker. I don't have to stand there like, I feel comfortable just standing there. So it's weird. Oh, thank you, Dorothy. That's very nice of you to do the super chat there. Appreciate that. $10. So appreciate that very much. Yeah, I don't get as many of them, but I understand too. Times are tough, man. People are just struggling. People are just struggling out there. So I get that. I get that, and I don't expect it. It's completely, but it's cool when they come in. So thank you. But yeah, so I want to know what you're talking about doing these. This is just kind of an open discussion. I like those. I was looking up some stuff before we got together here, and what the hell with one of these crazy parents leaving the child in the house, and the 14-year-old girl weighed 35 pounds, and oh my gosh, it's like a horror show. And so we'll go over that one. If you're not familiar with it, I've got a story on it that I left available, or I have available for us to read through if you want to do it today, because it's crazy. I'd never heard of this one, so this is probably a breaking story. But yeah, real bad stuff. Anytime with kids, it really hits me. I can't stand it. I hate anything at all that has to do with anybody hurting anybody, any child at all. It makes me sick. That and the elderly, those two groups of people, just makes me absolutely sick. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about that one because that's an interesting case. I know there's been some stuff popping on the Idaho 4. I know that AR, me, Lee, and AR did a live last weekend. You probably some of you were probably there for that, and it went you know unbelievably well. And so it's definitely something we'll talk about today. But yeah, things are expensive right now. I see Dorothy here says between furnace and new well pump in a month, yeah, $3,000. It's not hard to do. When you own your home, yeah, for sure. Mine's 100 and like 15 years old or something like that. It's over 100 years old. I know that. So, but Kara says, how does it feel standing up? It feels cool. I do have some glimpses of standing up when I get dressed in the morning. I have to stand up, or I don't have to, but it's easier for me to stand up when I put my shorts on. And so my wife helps me, and I do that either in my walker or I have a thing on the side of the bed that I can stand myself up and hold on to it. And so I do get to do it, but it's doesn't feel really weird doing it that way, but doing it like not touching anything and just standing on the two legs, it is definitely cool, and it feels natural. It doesn't feel like I said earlier, like I'm gonna fall or like I'm uneasy. I feel very at ease doing it, and so that's good. But I don't want to get cocky either. But still, it's good to be comfortable with it and not freaking out that you're gonna fall over, because that's just not going to be good. So yeah, it's just crazy. But like Donna says, things all happen at one time, and I can attest to that with the medical stuff for me for this last year and a half has just been absolutely insane. I mean, just absolutely insane. And yeah, Isle of Shoals house always needs something. I mean, geez, it's never ending, never ending. All right, very cool. But the studio could, if the studio needs like a new serial killer mask, that's got to take priority. Isle of Shoals. I mean, that's got to be a little bit higher priority than maybe replacing the window or a door. I mean, we got a serial killer. Just kidding. Um, I do enjoy the serial killer mask, but I've got my fill of them out there right now. I don't really need any more because there's nowhere else to put them. I mean, I've got them going all the way around, so I'd have to be like doubling them up, and then it would just get too cluttered. So, but I've got serial killer bobbleheads in there that I have. Some are being used on the table, but a lot of them are just kind of here and there. So that might be fun to bust some of the ones I haven't busted out of in a while out. So there's going to be some tweaking to do out there to get it to where it needs to be, like a 2.0 or Horns Eye Studios 666, something like that. Speaking of which, my wife and I were watching that movie Studio 666, that Dave Grohl movie. That's friggin' funny. I'm not a Foo Fighters fan. I'm not against them. I'm just, it's not my thing. But yeah, the whole band is in the movie, and they're really good too. I mean, it's not like this. It's a campy kind of a horror story, but it's wicked special effects, and if you like the gore, that's it's your one you would like. There's some really gory scenes in there. If it's not your thing, then yeah, stay away from it. Like Ma, you would like this one for sure. But I don't normally go for those unless it's funny, and this is meant to be funny. So I thought it was cool. But good stuff. If you're looking for something to watch, it was on what was that app we were watching that? A Peacock. So yeah, if you're interested for watching something, it's on Peacock if you want to check that out. All right. So what? Any topic that you guys are interested in? I always try to leave these open to you guys. Give you a chance to bring any ideas you've got to the table, whether it be to talk about, you know, the crazy 911 call, and was it a setup, and was it all rehearsed and like acted out like a play, or about this goofy crap with the nine or the DNA and how they came up with Koberger's name, and really confusing with the four brothers in Pennsylvania and how they wound about going from their family tree across to a common relative between the Koberger family and the Kopaka family, and then went down the tree and connected it to Brian or Brian's dad. That just, something about that sounds like somebody's pulling a fast one, right? I mean, that just sounds suspicious as all hell. I mean, how do you even justify doing that? I'm just amazed that somebody, I mean, there isn't a lawyer in this country that would stand up and take this case. I mean, you want to talk about a travesty of justice? This is ridiculous. I mean, I can't believe that some flashy attorney, there has to be a reason. There has to be a reason. I know they would have had to have been death penalty qualified before, but not now, I wouldn't think. But I don't even know what you can do at this point. I haven't been staying as up on it as I was at one time. But that just sounds really, really screwed up. Yeah, I saw this, James. Yeah, thanks for reminding me, James. I knew there was something I was forgetting. Yeah, did you guys see this about the family suing WSU 100 million apiece? I mean, whoa. $400 million. I mean, almost $500 million to a university. Man, that's getting kicked in the jimmy there. I mean, that just wow. I mean, that's insane. Now, who are we to say that, whether or not that's a legitimate number? I mean, I'm sure there was some way that that number was realized. I mean, if the lawyer just said, "Boy, that sounds really good," because think about how much money they're going to get. Because don't they get like 30%? So that'd be pretty sweet. Getting 30 mil for just doing that. So yeah. So anyway, but I did see that, and I watched somebody do I think it might have been a live. I don't know if it was Jules or what it was talking about. No, it was. I think it was Nika Neuro Nuggets. She was doing one about it. That's where I heard about it. And so yeah, she's got an interesting way of delivering the information. I'll say that, but I have gotten some good stuff from her over the years. I mean, the Gower stuff. I know for a period of time, it was me and her were the only two talking about Eric Gower, and we were going balls to the wall with it, and so was she, and then you never heard much about it. And I've done a few videos about him since because I had done a lot of research on it. But then I keep hearing like these different things about it. And is there more than one Eric Gower, which is just really odd. So I don't know. But, I listen to the career watch or listen to the creators that I like, maybe the way they present. It's different. Than the way I do it, so I can see what other people do, or just that I like. I mean, just like any of you, I think we all watch what we like. I mean, if you didn't like watching me or hanging with me talking, then you'd go watch somebody else. And so I'm thankful that you guys are here watching, but that's what makes this medium very cool is everybody can kind of compete somewhat on the same level. I mean, certainly a channel like Law and Crime or one of those is going to have all kinds of massive people going through there watching their content, and they're making a lot of money doing it. But I'm sure that those of us in the smaller channels that are fanning the flames are profiting them by keeping those people interested in that story. So people tend to watch more than one channel on a story that they're really interested in. So but yeah, I think that I think there's a lot of things that could come of this Koberger case, but that 100 million, I don't know. I mean, wow, that's an awful lot of money. But to say that they should have selected differently. I mean, if the guy had no history of that they could have gotten their hands on, then I don't know how they would be found at fault. I mean, honestly, I mean, how would a company be at fault of every employee that they have and anything that they would ever do? I mean, that seems a very unreasonable. Again, if you had somebody that had been in and out of a mental hospital for some sort of serious issue, that's a completely different situation, or a person that was involved in a an altercation maybe at a previous job where there was some serious doubt, that they could pull it together. Though other than something like that, I honestly don't know how you would even know. I mean, it's not like you could just go opening up file cabinets in somebody's house and go start going through things. So, especially if it happened when they were like a minor, that kind of stuff is hidden and expunged and all that sort of stuff. So, let's see here. Oh, here's Donna. But maybe universities, since there have been so many school shootings, have to have a certain type of insurance policy to cover them against students. That's certainly possible, Donna. That's a really good thought. Um, so you could very well be right. There's all kinds of insurance. I know when I worked in the environmental business, we had all sorts of insurance that I'd never heard of before, like um, occurrence insurance, insurance that covers you when something happened, even though you don't still have the policy in effect, or um, the big one. I'm trying to think of that. I can't believe I can't think of it. We used to have it as building inspect errors and omissions. That's the big one. Errors and omissions. I wouldn't have done the job I did had they not had something like that. Because boy, you are seriously signing your life away doing some of those reports. So gotta be really careful. But yeah, so there's all kinds of insurance. So that's a great suggestion. We got such a smart audience here. I mean, you guys are just killing it. Plus, Donna's taking people out at the knees when they come in here acting the fool. She just takes them right out. She's not putting up with it. Here's one from Words Bloom, and good to see you here, Words Bloom. I know you have been out, and good to see you back in the fray here. Don't the parents feel like any money they receive is their children's blood money? I'm sure you would. Man, that's such a tough thing to even try to contemplate. It would be a horror of horrors. So, as a parent myself, I guess part of me would think it would be like a retribution, like even though he's not paying it. I mean, the university, I don't know. People are too quick to take things out on insurance companies and big, like things like that. What they don't realize is that all, like, especially fraudulent, I'm not talking about a legit lawsuit, I'm talking a fraudulent lawsuit, all the crap that it causes, and then people's insurance rates go up because of this. I mean, why else do you think our insurance rates go up? Is because people file these false claims and cause all sorts of mess with excessive damages and all this other stuff, when maybe if they didn't play it dishonest, it wouldn't have happened, and then people would have lower insurance rates overall and just keep dropping. But it's insurance plays a big game, a big part of any game. So I could see it being involved here as well. You got a lot of money at stake, right? That big deal that the U of I was working with, University of Phoenix, right? Wasn't that like a $700 or $800 million deal? So you had a lot of money on the table here, and I think that may be a big reason why things happened the way they did. I know I've said this before. I'm trying to get comfortable in this chair today. It's not working. Um, but the people try to get their name out there, and then people just trying to get as far away from it as you can. I mean, it's very confusing, um, the way things are going here. But I just wonder why they didn't go after anybody over there at the University of Idaho. But I guess if you're going after it for the issue of you hired this guy and you put him in our community and now you're liable for him. Obviously, is it going to go with the University of Idaho, being a different school? But is there any way they could say that the town of Moscow would be, or the county, Latah County, would be responsible for protecting those kids in that house? I mean, hell, I'd buy that more than I'd buy the WSU being at fault, to be honest with you. But okay, we got somebody here, Star Johnson. Any money associated to a school that is federally funded, so that's FBI jurisdiction. Okay. Yeah, I dealt a lot with schools doing what I did, and they were partially federally funded, partially state, local, all the above. So everybody's got their mitts in there. So I don't say it's just FBI, but I'm sure it would start at the FBI, especially if it was a big deal like this. I mean, this is a lot of money. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just a guy who graduated high school and doing a podcast with you. So all right, let's see here. What else? Yeah, lots of people I know these days don't even make claim on their insurance, knowing their rates will go up. So yeah, and that's bogus, right? I did that at least once with a car incident. I could seem to remember, but yeah, I mean, how ridiculous is that? And that's what exactly what you said. Redacted meaning is, that's what the insurance is for, and that's what you're supposed to be doing with it. And instead, people put it in the put it away because they don't want to get their rates going up. That's bullshit. I mean, that's just complete bullshit. You never thought you'd hear about insurance on Murder Melody, but hey, we're rolling with it. It's related to a true crime case that we're talking about. And Donna says she used to work at a school and they never went to trial. They settle. Yeah, most lawyers don't know the damn thing about going to trial because nowadays they settle with everything because they have to be you know they have to be what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought there. I'm sorry about that. Tony Stevenson says campus here is mostly funded by football and soccer sports. Yeah, it's the sports programs that fund a lot of these schools, right? These basketball, football, soccer. I don't know much about, but baseball's not as popular, so it's probably very little there. But you know, I think that there's definitely a thought there. Is the money is always all going into these schools. The sports programs at the schools. And now that the players can bet, that's screwing up things too. You can bet on pro sports now. So that was one of my topics actually, was to bring up to see if anybody was interested in talking about the all the sports betting stuff that's been going on and people getting in trouble. I mean, I'm not a basketball fan, but man, that was the one that started it. But then I heard about a baseball one yesterday. So I'm like, man, come on now. I mean, geez, you guys are making a lot of money. I mean, can't you just chill out and not do that? But here, James Moan says, I think the University of Idaho has got this narrative in the parents' head to further distract from the real U of I, uh, in his opinion. Yeah, I think that that is very possible here. The news, the mainstream media loves to do that whole shiny object crap. Like, look over here, look at this shiny object. Meanwhile, back over here, they're completely pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. So I don't think that that's not within play here. I mean, I wouldn't put it past any of them to do that. Whether it's the school or the media or both. I mean, remember, a university is going to have PR people. I mean, I did a job once for a municipality of about 75,000, and they had like a team of people that worked there. It wasn't like hired people that they brought in. Like these are employees that came in to talk about public relations and when to put the story out and which day of the week was best. And these people were professionals. So I can only imagine a University of Idaho, especially with all the sports and all the stuff they do, they got to have people that can handle stuff like this, that they need to, redirect the attention from one place to another. And you're very right. I think that could have been going on here. Could have been going on here. Yeah, redacted meanie says I just heard about the baseball one. A way to throw your multi-million-dollar careers for $12,000. Yeah, the one I saw, I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a pitcher, or was because he's not anymore. A pitcher for Cleveland, the Guardians, and still weird to say that. Anyway, he was, I don't know if he was a starter or a relief pitcher, but there's this new way of betting to in case you don't even know what we're talking about. Nowadays, you could bet on everything. I mean, you could bet on if the next pitch is going to be a strike, if it's going to be a ball, if the guy's going to hit the guy, if the umpire is going to get hit on the head and knocked out. I mean, like there's odds on like all kinds of crazy stuff. Okay, so this guy was making money by consistently betting, or not betting, but tipping off people on the outside when he was going to say throw a ball. So that this way, if they bet on all this money on that he's going to throw a ball and he does, then obviously they make a lot of money. Apparently, as bets go, you're not going to make a ton off of this kind of stuff. But cumulatively over time, I mean, it could be substantial, and it obviously was. But this guy, I mean, yeah, I mean, doing this kind of stuff, and most of them do it because they themselves are gamblers and they get sucked into it and then they can't pay it off. And you know how it is. It's always, oh, the next one's going to be a big one. The next one's a big one. And unfortunately, a lot of them, destroy themselves with this. So it's terrible. But the baseball one, I mean, does it really matter to the average person that the pitcher tipped off somebody he was going to throw a ball? Maybe not, but the problem is obviously, I would think, I mean, this is just me, is is he tipping off, you know, other people that are, this is like opening Pandora's box, He's got people that are now going to see this avenue in, and if it's going to be balls and strikes one day, it's wins and losses and doing something to, intentionally lay some fastballs, in the meat of the plate for the home run hitters to just tear up and throw scores out of whack. If people are doing the over under on runs scored, if they know this guy's going to be lobbing them in all day, they're going to pick the over and they're probably going to win, So I don't know. I'm not a gambler, but I think that it has really, really some bad implications. Even if it's not there yet, because of what they were betting on was just balls or strikes or whatever. And I don't know the whole story. So I'm sure there's a lot more to it than what I heard. So I'll have to do some more reading about it too. But that's cool that one of you guys knew a little bit about it because so yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. All right, let's see. So James is going on with this University of Illinois of Idaho. Brings in 500 million annually for enrollment, and if their frats were involved, then they goes the U of I, and that's enough right there to distract and blame BK. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I read that the frats, the Greek row, not just the frats, but all of Greek row, makes up like 80% of the donations that come into the school come from former Greek row people. So there's definitely a vested interest in not pissing somebody off that's comprising 80% of your donations. So it's crazy. It really is. And it shouldn't be this way. It really shouldn't. It's terrible. All right. Very good. Let's see. I'm just reading through the. Okay. Truth and Justice, True Crime has. Haven't seen your lives for a while. Just wanted to say hello, hi. So hello to you. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you for that. I do these every weekend. I don't have a set day I do them. I do them either Saturday or Sunday at 4 o'clock Central, and do an hour and a half. That's it. And we do an open discussion on true crime. So the next topic I wanted to get to, though, is that one I was telling you about, that house, those people with the kid. Really, really bad. So I'm trying to read through the chat and figure out what you guys are talking about with donations. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Okay. All right. Well, I don't want to totally go into this entire. I mean, we've been talking about this for a bit, and that's fine. If you guys still want to talk about it, we can come back to it. But I wanted to show this to you because I don't know if you've seen this. Did see some people said that they liked the thumbnail, so that's cool. I've been using AI for somebody that can't do art. The AI stuff is good for me. I wanted to show you something. I had got an email from T Public. I think it was Friday. Hang on a second. Okay. I wanted to make sure you were seeing what I was seeing. Um, no, is that what I was seeing? What in the world's going on? I'm trying to look at what you guys are looking at. For some reason, I can't see it, but I think I'm there now. Okay. All right. So when you click on any one of our designs, if you're interested in, let's say, the traditional Murder Metal Mayhem design, because I've had a couple people ask me this, so I want to make sure everybody understands. When you pull this up, this is just to give you an idea of what you can do. Okay, you could pick any color you want. They've even got tie dye if you want. Okay, you can go crazy. All right, and right now they're running a sale, but male or female fit, and then different styles, whether it be V-neck or premium or streetwear, whatever you want. I do the classic one. That's just me. And then sizes from small to 5X. All right. And you just pick which one you want. or how many you want. All right. Just one sided. Now, if you scroll down, there's other stuff at the bottom that you can have put that you can buy that has that design on it, like the hoodie. All right. Same thing with the hoodie. It's got all the different, they got a premium one, a lightweight one. I've got the classic, I think, and it's really legit. I mean, it's a nice hoodie. It's not a cheap, flimsy one, I can tell you that. And now they even have socks. This is a new one they brought out on Friday. So, and you can get those made. And you get this stuff in like a week. So it's pretty crazy. Definitely good to be working with somebody like that. That's trying to get some good stuff out there because I heard about it through a friend of mine that has his own business, and he was doing T-shirts through there, and it's pretty cool. And I've been using AI for being able to get the word out and be able to tell people, hey, I got some new merch. So okay, James Moan says, thank you, P, for going live and bringing us all together. Respect and appreciation for you and all your friends and family always. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That's nice of you. I've never been one to tolerate any bullshit. If people want to, be like that, then they could go be like that somewhere else. And that's why I got a couple of good mods to take care of that kind of stuff. And thankfully, we just don't see it here. So I'm definitely glad to not have to deal with that. Now, there is one thing I've been talking about AI, and I've been using it here. You've been seeing it. The thumbnails, the last several I've done have been using AI. I can't draw, but I've got a very creative mind. So I could take my creativity and put out artwork that I could never have done by myself. And I know that some people are very against it. I mean, as a writer, you would think I wouldn't like it because people are using it to write. Well, I'm not using it to write. I can tell you that. And I could also tell you that I feel confident enough in my writing that it would be better than whatever AI is going to come up with. Okay. So I don't, it doesn't phase me because I'm not going to use it to write with. But I'm going to use it to do some artwork with. And I've paid artists over the years. I've certainly not tried to get away from doing it, but you'd be an idiot in these times with how hard it is to make money doing anything to pay over the top costs on something that you could just do yourself very easily. I mean, I did a book cover for myself, it took me 10 minutes and it looks unbelievably good, you know. So I don't really think it's as bad, but I get how people, weird out with it. Now, the one thing that is really cool too is the music side of it. You guys know I used to play in a band. I've been in a couple different bands, played bass in one, and I played bass and sang in the other one. And so wrote a lot of music, been there. But right now I have neuropathy. I cannot play. I can't. So does that mean I just can't try something with this AI and see what I can do? So with what I remembered and the way I wrote lyrics and the way I work with syllables, that's how I write my lyrics. That everything works, And I've been writing in every genre you could possibly imagine. Um, for some reason, it's kind of funny because I'm not into country music, but I've written some really good country songs just playing around to see if I could do it. I've written rap songs, I've written disco. I mean, all that. It's funny. I've had somebody ask me why in the beginning of the live, it says something about disco shoes. Well, the reason was because the original version, I tried it with disco music and it didn't really work, but it sounded kind of cool, sung the way that that's AI singer sings it, and I just left it in there, you know. So that's all part of writing music, you know. So I don't really look at it as doing anything wrong. The right now with YouTube, if we play anything that's copyrighted, we get a copyright strike. I got one here just recently because I used a news story. It was in a live with you guys. I used like a little 5 or 6 minute clip, and I was talking during it. I don't know what the hell they're. Apparently, it's not a strike against me, so I'm not really worried about it. But it wouldn't let me use the. They wouldn't let me use the live. I had to scrap the replay, and it's just there. It's lost. But that sucks, you know. So now I can write my own music and I don't have to worry about getting struck because I'm using somebody else's. And it's mine, so I own it. And so that's what I've been doing with it. So I don't know if you guys heard this. I know some of you have, but I was going to play this for you, this song that I wrote about the Idaho 4, because I wanted to write a song that kind of was like a theme song for this whole screwed up case. And I thought, you know, this is kind of cool. And I didn't get that many views to it because I did it as like a video, even though it was just like a couple of different graphics just going back and forth. But I didn't get that many views to it, but I didn't expect to because I don't have music typically on my channel. So the algorithm doesn't know what to do with it. So I figured, what the hell, I'll throw it up here to let you guys hear it in case you guys haven't heard it. All right. And pay attention to the lyrics. Pay attention to the lyrics. And like I said, no, it's not me singing. It's an AI. Everything is AI except me writing these lyrics and telling AI what I want it to sound like. Okay. So let me get this here. All right. I hope it works with the audio. I'm just thinking out loud. You guys will have to let me know in the chat if the audio, if you could hear the audio. I'm just thinking out loud. You may not be able to, but we'll try it. We'll try it. So somebody let me know in the chat if you could hear this.
If you're traveling out on Highway 95, don't blink or you'll miss this corrupt college town. Nestled in the rolling hills of the Palos, with Manson family out on the loose. Home of the Idaho 4 struck down in their prime. Somehow the killers led to survive.
Thank you, Donna, about the lyrics.
Got an 8-hour delay calling 911, but nothing ever happens in Moscow. You got students getting hazed, left to drown in a stream. You got students being bullied, taking their lives in shame. Freezing to death under a bridge, frat boys jumping from windows to their death, cars pushing their poison to Greek road, and traffic in the week before they know. So you tell me how it's safe in Moscow. The cops are either dumb, deaf, or dirty. On the Moscow PD, if you have money or power, they'll set you free. The U of I is the puppeteer pulling strings. From top to bottom, they're all in the game. Look at them close and they're one and the same. They'll lie, cheat, and steal, shove it in your face. You got students getting hazed, left to drown in stream. You got students being bullied, taking their lives in shame. Freezing to death under a bridge, frat boys jumping from windows to the death. Cat is pushing their poison to Greek low, and trafficking the weak before they know. So you tell me how it's safe in Moscow, or is it Lefko? You better get that lock fixed. Might want to tighten up that slider too.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you guys. I got a lot of you thought that sounded pretty cool. Yeah, it's weird for me listening to my talents being used for country, but and then I thought how funny it was that I just heard the yesterday, I think it was, that they finally somebody got I want again, I don't like the way they phrased it. Like somebody got busted using AI to create a number one song. And what blows my mind is what about all this electronic music? I mean, that's using a computer to you know what I mean. Yeah, you're writing the melody, but I bet a lot of them give you ideas and stuff. And so I don't know anything about that kind of music, but I'm just saying that you know this is not like the first time we've used technology to write music, and so I don't really like the way they categorize it because whoever that was that wrote this number one song, I'm sure they're probably making some good money. And tell you what, I mean, I'd probably be foolish to not even look into it. I mean, I could write those. That song right there took me about a half hour. Most of them take me 10 minutes because the lyrics are nonsensical. Those lyrics, I really put my heart into it to try to encapsulate the story of the Idaho Four in a song. It's tough to do. I've written a couple of albums with my band Low 12 where we told stories that I wrote, and the music tells the story, and the whole album is a story. And those are cool, but they're very challenging and very, very tricky because you have to try to find 10, if you're doing a 10-song album, 10 songs that will tell the story enough to where the reader or the listener won't be like, what's going on? You know, this confusing, you know. So it definitely is a balancing act, but yeah, so it is kind of fun playing around with the AI music. So I've been using them, as you guys have heard, intros, outros, all those goofy serial killer story hour, all of it. They're all AI, and I've been fooling with you a little bit, telling you about the Blunt Force band and stuff. Just wanted to feel it out, but I'll be honest with you guys, that's how I'm doing it. And if any other true crime channels want to try to do their best at what they can do, then go for it. You know, I mean, to me, it's just a tool for me to be able to do what I can do even better. So the thumbnails and all of it. So, all right, well, let's get to this story about this house from hell here. Let me find it. Here we go. So this looks like quite the bunch here, as you can see from looking at this, and I'll tell you what's going on. So this happens in Appleton. That's Wisconsin. Is, is Appleton in Wisconsin? I think it is. Anyway, Melissa Goodman became the fourth person charged with child abuse for the treatment of a 14-year-old girl who was taken to the hospital weighing just 35 pounds. Goodman, along with Walter Goodman, Savannah Lefevre, and Kayla Stemler, each face 3 counts of chronic neglect of a child. Consequence is great bodily harm, and 2 counts of chronic neglect of a child. Consequence is emotional damage. Goodman made an initial court appearance Thursday where a $150,000 cash bond was set. She returns to court next Thursday for a status conference. Quite frankly, we have some incredibly disturbing allegations before the court today. According to the allegations in this matter, the victim, quite frankly, was living in a house of horrors, but for the grace of God, she did not die. Outagamie County Court Commissioner Brian Figge said, or Fige, I'm not sure how to say that. Walter Goodman, well, this is a little confusing. Walter Goodman is the girl's father. Melissa is the wife. So I'm going to go back up here to the top because this gets confusing with this family of like inbred. I don't know what's going on here. Okay. But this guy here is married to that woman there. Okay. The older woman. And then this is one of his kids. And his kid has the daughter. Now, I don't think this is the daughter. I'm not sure. I think she's just another sibling. But this is the mother of the child. And I believe that these two. Yeah, it's messed up. It's one of those situations like I'm my own grandpa kind of thing. Yeah, it's weird. Okay. So Walter Goodman is the girl's father. Melissa Goodman is his wife, but not the victim's mother. So that's the older lady. Lefevre is Melissa Goodman's adult daughter, and Stemler is her partner. Okay. And they've got the whole criminal complaint here. I'm not going to read through all of this. It's pretty gruesome. Walter Goodman and Stemler have preliminary hearings Wednesday. Lefevre has a preliminary hearing next Thursday. The criminal complaint said Goodman called 911 in August to report his daughter, who he said is on the autism spectrum, was lethargic, moaning, and almost comatose. According to the criminal complaint, the first officer on scene at the Hattie Lane home said the girl looked to be only 6 to 8 years old. She was 14. Hospital employees said she weighed less than 40 pounds. The last time we saw such a medical provider, the last time she saw a medical provider was approximately 5 years before this incident came to light. Assistant District Attorney Julie DeQuain said in court Tuesday. She was very, very close to death, 35 pounds at 14 years old. So the complaint said that Walter Goodman told authorities his daughter didn't like to eat or sleep. He claimed they'd offer her meals, but she wouldn't eat. Hospital employees said that the teen suffered from severe malnutrition. She had signs of multi-organ dysfunction, including respiratory failure, cardiac dysfunction, acute or severe acute hepatitis, and pancreatitis, among other issues. Oh my gosh. The criminal complaint said that while the girl was hospitalized, one of the nurses explained to the victim she would get 3 meals a day. The nurse noted the girl's eyes lit up as she started listing off all the options of food she could have over the course of her hospitalization. So yeah, I don't believe that the kid didn't eat. I believe they weren't feeding her. It's messed up. Girl said that her dad would be so mad because he didn't like when she eats so much. So yeah, there you go. The criminal complaint also included a litany of text messages by the defendants calling the victim a dummy and stupid. Okay, it looked like it just cut off, but I don't want to get sucked into some pop up thing, so I'm going to stop. That is just absolutely horrendous. Um, this is just disgusting. But I don't know if you guys heard of this case, and I want to look and see if it was in Wisconsin or not. Yeah, quintessential trailer trash. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I used to live in a trailer. I lived in a trailer for a long time as a family of four. That was the cheapest way I could survive with my kids. It was tough growing up. But, thankfully those days are beyond, beyond us. But so I'm not sitting here trying to bash on people that live in trailers. I wanted to be clear about that. But I know because I used to live in one that unfortunately the overwhelming majority of the people there meet that definition, but not everybody, but a lot of them. So, yeah, I mean, is evil personified? There's a special place reserved in hell for them, said Voice of Astrology. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just disgusting. I mean, I don't even know how you could do that to another human. I feel the same way about like the Holocaust, anything like that. My gosh, how do people do that to each other? Here, Phyllis says, when my anorexic 14-year-old was in a facility, organ shutdown was a concern at 84 pounds. Time for tube feeding. So yeah, that's wow. That's terrible. That is really terrible. Oh, back to this one here on the country thing. Somebody here commented, I don't really listen to country, but that song sounds as good as any other country I stumble on through the radio. Yeah, that's what amazes me about it. Is you could write something like that sounds that quality, and I have the premium subscription to that, so I have but I don't even use the full tools that they have. You can do like editing and stuff in there. I know how to do audio editing, but I don't know if I would use it like this. But anyway, yeah, for somebody that doesn't really know how to play any instruments, but has a feel for music or melody, he could kill it. I told my wife one day, she went to work, I said, I could pick a genre and I could easily write 10 songs to make a complete album by the time you come home from work and still have time to catch a nap. So it's not that hard to do if you know how to do it. Now, I would be curious if somebody had no idea what they were doing, how they would do. Because you can have AI write everything, the lyrics, the title, everything. You just hit a button and it does it. You pick the genre of music, the tempo. There's a few things you have to pick, but that's it. But like I said, mine, I go in and I'm writing lyrics and I'm given direction of what I want it to do and where's like a solo and that kind of stuff. But anyway, so yeah, that's a really messed up story. I want to keep an eye on that one and see, because I did not catch the date. Let me check the date. The date's here. Might have said it, and I just don't remember it. So this article was just a couple days ago. So that's the fourth person charged. So, so yeah, there's more on it. I'm guessing if you almost closed the StreamYard account out, you guys would have been sitting out there with no host. Yeah, it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing when parents do that kind of stuff. Anybody does stuff like that, but let alone a parent to their child. That's just wow. I don't get it. I don't get it. But here we are, an hour and 6 minutes in. So far, the leg is still holding up fine. It doesn't hurt. Um, I even forgot it was there until I just looked down and saw it. And I thought, oh yeah, that's right. I got Vinny on. So I got Vinny on here. All right. Any other true crime stuff you guys want to get into? Any more Idaho 4? Any more other cases? I'm going to throw some things up here while we're chit chatting. If you want to buy any merch, there's the website. I've got that in the description too, so you can get that way. Got the new show, Serial Killer Story Hour, and we're going to be going to the UK. Going to be doing some Fred and Rose West. Um, Definitely an interesting case for sure. An interesting case for sure. We do a pick a topic. The more obscure killers, the better. And so we pick them out, and then I run through the story, and then we bat it around, and it's a cool little group. So if you're interested in that, they're solved cases, but they're cases that most people don't know about. Most people. Fred and Rose West definitely more notorious than some of the others I've done. So you may have heard of them. All right. If you want to do a donation, you can get that down there on the creeper. Um, if you want to do any of that, we have a membership here on the channel, $1.99 for the Horns High Club, $2.99 for the Mayhem Squad if you're interested. And if you just want to help for free, you could just like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below if you're watching on the replay. If you're watching it live and you want to drop in on the chat, that would be cool too. The more of that's going on, the more the YouTube pushes the video, right? So let's see what else here. So according to Redacted Mean, he says the case is pretty awful, and the one I read about is about a years ago. So I don't know how long it's been going on for. So it may be a few years old. Oh, I like that, Karis. That's clever. Karis says, instead of my cousin Vinny, it's my shinny Vinny. My shinny Vinny. That's pretty good. Yeah, like I said, the Vinny thing is a tie to my surgeon. So, and the fact that all the legal knowledge I have was received by watching my cousin Vinny at least 100 times. So I have a lot to give, to give back to my cousin Vinny, because like I said, I've been doing a podcast between the podcast and the channel, going on almost 10 years now. And before that, I wrote a newsletter in my band, and we did a Psycho of the Month column. That's how it all started. So done my fair share of serial killer talking. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's a great movie. I mean, I don't know how you could say it's not. It's funny as hell. Here's Phyllis talking about Delphi. Came across a channel that goes hard into Delphi. They were saying things are still happening for Rick. Yeah, I definitely was really into Delphi as well. I was a late comer to that one. But once I learned about it, I was like, wow, this is crazy. And what I was blown away at is how similar it was to Idaho 4. Um, a lot of things about that case that were very, very similar to what happened in the Idaho 4. And so I think it's well worth, even now, even though the case, you know, it's so similar to the case in Idaho 4 is that it's also resolved, if you want to call it that. There's a guy in prison, but the people that follow the case, a lot of them don't think he did it. So there's a lot of similarities with Koberger and this guy, and was he like a patsy and all this stuff. The corrupt police, all kinds of corruption. I mean, the police corruption and just bad acts in the Delphi case, I think are worse than Moscow. I think they're worse, if you could believe that. It's the truth. So, yeah, if you're interested in another case that's something just kind of out there, work on that Delphi case and you'll see what I'm talking about. I mean, they've got all kinds of shady characters, same as Idaho 4, all kinds of, things that don't make any sense. Police, there were two police officers murdered over that case from people that didn't want truth getting out. Yeah. All right, Jacob Monster 999. Good to see you, my friend. Question, Pete, after 3 years, the one I always wondered, why did he talk to David Loach? He supposedly got into a fight with Ethan that night. Why did no one interview him? And what do we think? What do I think? I can hear the sound of change dropping from the sky and just I hear money. Okay, that's what I hear when I hear that situation. First of all, he was Sigma Chi, and Sigma Chi's playbook said whenever anything happens to a student, don't call the parents. How messed up is that? Don't call their parents. Call this guy, and that's the attorney for the organization. So they are taught, don't talk to anybody. You saw that president out in front a few days into it, and he acted, civil to the person, but you could tell he wasn't going to say anything. He just put a smile on it. So that's how they operate. And so they're not gonna say anything. They're not gonna want anybody to say anything. And then I'm sure he personally was lawyered up. I'm sure of that. So you got him lawyered up, plus the frat's lawyer, and it's like a steel drum. I mean, nobody's getting through it. And I think you know, I think that would have been a good call for Ellie to go interview him. I don't hear him on any of these interviews, like you said, and he should be. To me, I think they should have kept everybody that was scattering like rats. They should have had a trap. You ever seen those hog videos that they've got with these big giant round traps, and they get them all in that feeding area, and then they drop it on them, and then they're stuck in there. That's what they should have done here. That's what they should have done with all these pukes and put them in one of those hog confinements, and then let's see who's going to talk now. Now, I know that that's not going to happen. I know that that's why there's lawyers and all, but that's the kind of BS is why this case turned out to be the way it is, because they let too many people go, too many people knew somebody, too many people had enough money to get by, or both. University of Idaho embroiled in everybody's friggin' life, and that's why this case was that way, because they originally started sniffing around Sigma Chi. But Scott Green was like, no more of that. Why? 80% of the donations come from Greek Row, as I told you. So he doesn't want them sniffing around at Sigma Chi. So he had them get lost. Meanwhile, they scrubbed all their social media pictures. So what does that tell you? There was all kinds of pictures of those fools with those K-bar knives. So how many? Who the hell knows how many knives are over there at that house? And I wonder, were they all accounted for when this was over with? I doubt it. So lots of concerns I've always had with the frats. I think that there's some sort of role. I know I've got I call it the lambs to the slaughter theory, where I feel almost everybody was involved. Not everybody was involved in working with knives, but there were lookouts, there were drivers, there were people picking up a supply, there were people talking to so and so, there was this, there was that. Everybody played a role here. A very, very minor role, but everybody played a role. And that normally spells that somebody's going to talk. And I'm amazed that they haven't yet either. But apparently the message got across real quick and real serious of, you don't want to think about going to the cops with this, because this is what's going to happen to you. And I think the 8-hour delay was whoever did it told them, do not call 911 for 8 hours. We want a head start. And then they took off. And then they waited their 8 hours, and then they called them. That's my opinion. Yeah, here's a good comment. Scott Green should not have so much influence in the case. He was involved from day one. How do they even know Green wasn't involved? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I agree. That guy had no damn business being involved. They could have, as a courtesy, invited him to one of their meetings, just because he's trying to help him out, right? But for this guy to just barge in there 2 a day meetings, what is he offering to the table? It's not even on his damn property, you know? So, or at least at the time it wasn't. And then we know how that turned out. And that was also shady. That SD has donates the property to the school. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. That should not have ever happened. The demolition of that house not should have never happened. They could have put a building around the building and left it there and kept it under lock and key. Nobody's going in there, and it doesn't look hideous, and it's there. They could have put windows on it. They could have painted it, made it look like a real house, and just there's nothing in there but the other house. So, or some option. I've also seen houses get moved, but that house was such a built like a piece of crap house that it was. There's no way you were moving that thing, because it would have fallen apart 5 minutes down the road. So that wouldn't have worked there. But originally, I thought, why don't they just move the house? Because I've seen houses get moved before. It's pretty cool. That there was a show out for a while called where they moved houses, and one of the first episodes was a house in the town that I used to work in, and they moved it like 3 or 4 blocks. It was a gigantic. built like a friggin' castle, so it was strong. It would hold up. But not that house wasn't holding up. I can tell you that. Yeah, and then I've heard I haven't heard too many shadier things than demolishing and then burying that house in an undisclosed location before there was ever even a trial. Yeah, I've dealt with building demolition for 30 years when I worked. I've never ever heard of waste from a demolition being brought to a secure location like that. Never. Waste is always manifested. It's like there is supposed to be a paper trail for it. Like that, that's an EPA thing. That's their regulation that documents where the waste is, and they're supposed to show with a grid approximately where that waste is in a landfill. That's how it typically is handled. So the fact that these guys are pulling this, Mission Impossible bullshit with this waste is just it's ridiculous. I don't know. None of this stuff makes any damn sense, right? I mean, none of this makes any sense. So Foxy Rose says, I think the dean of the college grew up in that house. Yeah, I've heard varying accounts. I know his parents owned it. There's a little bit of discrepancy whether he lived there or not. I don't know. I don't know. He could have. If he did, it wasn't for long. But he could have been there as a little kid. So yeah, and Isle of Shoals brings up a good point. Costly 24/7 security, But I mean, if the place was locked up, I mean, really, as long as you got somebody sitting there at the front door with a cop, I don't know. I would think for what little they pay security guards, they could easily have that a security detail on that house, and it's not going to put a dent into a college that's throwing around hundreds of thousands of dollars like they do. So, yeah, interesting thoughts here, guys. All right. Well, does anybody else have anything they want to talk about? Anything they want to bring up? Um, I am planning on being. Um, I'm planning on doing that live on Tuesday. So that's my plan. And so if you're interested, Serial Killer Story Hour, Fred and Rose West, you don't get any more disgusting than those two. For working together, the whole folie à deux thing. We'll get all fancy with our French and talk about that. But those two are disgusting. I had, a couple of UK viewers want me to do a UK case. So why not? Let's do some Fred and Rose West. But yeah, if you haven't already, um, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and support the true crime community. If you got some creators that you like, support them, give them some likes and subscribe to, and the more out there, the better. I think it helps the competition when there's some competition to be had. If there's no, oh, I got one more here from Jacob Monster. Question, Pete: if this was BK, I always wanted to know the motive. They have never mentioned anything about that. Even Brian's plea doesn't. Yeah, that has to be it. That's called. There's a name for that. It's fancy, and I'm pissed that I don't remember it now. There's a name for that when they're supposed to tell you what happened, like Dennis Rader, BTK did. But if they didn't ask for that, or let's maybe allocution, that's it. Wow, that's a $5 word there, allocution. If Brian did want to do that, then maybe that's why. I don't know. It's interesting though. I wish they would have forced him to do it. It's like, okay, if you don't want to go in that death chamber 20, 30 years from now, then let's hear it. But the problem is you get somebody like Raider, and he was doing it like he was a friggin' cheerleader. So that just because that guy's just messed up. So. All right, guys. Well, good to see you, and good to do this live with you again, especially the first live with the prosthetic leg here. And I will see you guys on Tuesday, and if not, next weekend when I do my next live. I'm not sure what's going to happen that week of Thanksgiving, but probably I'll still do one that weekend since Thanksgiving's on a Thursday. But we'll get to that when we get to it. All right. Take it easy. Good to see you.
Hell yeah for hanging out with Pete today. I hope he got you fired up and thinking you earned a nice cold beer or beverage of choice. Or if the greenery is what you dig, I hope it's moist. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a word in the comments. It helps the video grow. Hell yeah, tell your friends you rode with the middle man today. Spread the word like a case of the clap in a trailer park. We all know that hussy who can get the whole part distraction. Hell yeah, tell your friends you rode with Murder Metal May and today. Spread the word like a case of the clap in a trailer park.